Okay, so today I'm going to start database design and development, and there are 4 learning outcomes: understanding database management systems, be able to design a relational database in line with a client brief. Third is be able to implement a database design and be able to review the process of design and implementation of a database. So we start with database design, and learning outcome is understanding database management systems. So let us see what is a database. A database is a collection of information that is organized so that it can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. So data, is the fact, and when the fact is, processed, it becomes an information. So database is a collection of information. Normally, when it is organized, it becomes a database for the purpose of access, manage, update. Normally, the data is organized into rows, columns, and tables. It is indexed to make it easier to find relevant information. So indexing is like, you arrange the data. For example, you might have seen the books, and there is a table of content, and the table of contents is normally indexed. Okay, so for example, if you wanted to access that particular chapter, then you can quickly go and to particular page to access the particular information very quickly. So indexing is called that mechanism. In the database, data gets updated, expanded, deleted as a new information, and also a new information can be added. Now we come to the relational database. A relational database is a tabular database in which data is defined so that it can be reorganized and accessed in a number of different ways. So we discussed what is database. A database is a collection of information. It could be just one thing. Okay, if you say that a name of a person is a data, that is stored and can be said, okay, that's stored, that's why it's database. But when it comes to the data represented into tabular form, then it is called a relational database. Probably you should have a table of, for example, list of customers, and you may have another table for the list of, let's say, orders. You could have another list of table for invoices, and so on. So the relational databases are made up of a set of tables with data that fits into a predefined category. That is important, that you cannot randomly add any data to any kind of category, but the data to be stored should be stored in a predefined category. Okay, so each table has at least one data category in a column. So if there is a table, then minimum one category is a must. If there is no category, then it will not be called as a relational database. And each row has a certain data instance for the categories which are defined in the column. So it will become a relational database when it has at least one column having a category as well as one row as a field of the particular column. For example, if you say customer ID, so customer ID is a one column, and when you say customer ID CS12, then it is the field which is stored into the row. So normally, like, if you consider any data or any sheet, even on the paper, what you do, you write down on the top of the table like column name, and then you start writing the particular entries. So it is a kind of similar mechanism that is also being considered into the databases. Now, these topics are followed according to the indicative contents given in the course file. So I will be following those indicative contents in series and sequence, and then we will be getting the core concepts of the databases and these things. So organizational structure, basically that the databases could be made for the organizations, for the businesses purpose, for general purpose, for personal purposes, and any purpose could be for any purpose the database could be used. So mostly the we have to focus on the organizational purposes. So let us see that how organizations structure is. The organization structure is a system that consists of explicit and implicit institutional rules and policies designed to outline how various work roles and responsibilities are delegated, controlled, and coordinated. So the policies are to be implemented according to certain rules. More specifically, structure describes how members are accepted, how leadership is chosen, how decisions are made. One type of organizational structure is hierarchical model as shown in the following figure. So structure in the hierarchy is considered to be in the tree form. For example, if the boss is there, then worker 1 and worker 2 is under his or her power or the subordinates, and then worker 1 may have subordinates like a worker 1 subordinate and worker 1 2 subordinate. So possibly those organization structures could also be written into a tabular form. Let's say personal ID 1 is the boss, personal ID 2 is the worker, and personal ID 3 is the worker 2 again, and 4 and 5 are the sub workers related with the worker 1 and worker 2. Now we focus on the data element. The fundamental data structure in a data processing system. The data element is a fundamental data structure, like the smallest unit within a data, a part within a database, the smallest one. Any unit of data defined for processing is a data element. So, for example, if you wanted to highlight, use any particular information or unit, let's say account number, that is a data element. A name of the customer is a data element. Address of the customer is a data element. City is a data element. A data element is defined by size. Size, for example, account number will have a size, and type. Type may be the number, maybe alphanumeric, true or false, or it could be any date. So data element is the basic element, the smallest element that is used to represent an information in the database, and it can have a size as well as type. A specific set of values or range of values may also be part of the definition. So, for example, if you wanted a particular data element of particular type, then you can additionally define within data element that what size they and ranges they should have for the database. Technically, a data element is a logical definition of data, whereas a field is the physical unit of storage in a record. So, for example, if you say that product description is a data element, then that is a data element is a name given to a particular field, while the physical data is stored under that particular description, like manila folder, pencil, rubber band, copy paper, paper clip, envelope. These are the fields, and these are the corresponding values, like the corresponding values for particular data element. So the product description is the uh, logical thing, and the part number is also the logical thing, while their values are the fields. Like product description, particular pencil is the physical data, and for example P3883 is the data itself in the physical unit. A data set. A data set refers to the data selected and arranged in rows and columns for processing by software. Simply, the data set is the actual content of the database. In other words, database contains a set of number of data called data set. So when you say a table is in front of you, obviously which is being represented with the help of uh, data elements in the form of logical as well as physical. So the representation of the data using the field and description is also called a data set. So you have this data set in front of you. Forms. You must have seen these forms. Forms are used for entering, modifying data in the database. For example, if a website asks you to register through a sign-up form, this form that you fill is translated and to be saved as a record in the database. So probably you must have seen when you fill up the form for signing up anything like email, the social media, account, or any web registration, they could look like as a web form, as well as when you are using a window-based form that you use as a computer application is basically called the form. So that form is a kind of window, but at the end when you submit it, that information or data is stored somewhere. So as we discussed earlier, that information is stored into the database. So forms is the representation of this particular window based display. Reports. Reports offer you the ability to present your data in print. If you have ever received a computer printout of a class schedule or a printed invoice of a purchase, you have seen a database report. Reports are useful because they allow you to present components of your database in easy to read format. So you must have seen, this is a particular order report. The particular orders were placed in particular dates. The order IDs are given, customer IDs are given, product IDs are given, and total quantities are given. So this is a kind of order report, and normally whenever you get particular invoices of your purchases, then they have the entries in their particular order, but the information regarding that particular uh, invoice is stored somewhere into their database, whoever sold it. Entity. Now we are going to further into the deep concepts of the databases. What is an entity? The type of information that are saved in the database are called entities. So information about the entities is stored into the databases, and as we studied earlier, and they are basically stored into data elements. So data elements have the description as well as data field. So when you are going to generalize the entities, then entities are the information in different categories. Let's say they could exist for people. People could be an entity. Things could be entities. Events could be entities, and locations could be entities. So everything you could want to put in the database fits into one of these categories. If the information you want to include doesn't fit into these categories, then it's probably not an entity, but a property of an entity. This is called an attribute. So, for example, if you are writing an essay and about a database, then a data to be stored into the database and summary of the things to be stored into the database could fall into people, things, events, and locations. However, if something is not matching with the people, thing, event, or location, then that will be a property of the database. Now, for example, let's imagine that we are creating a website for a shop. What kind of information we will deal with? In a shop, we sell product to a customer. In this case, a shop is a location, sale is an event, customer is a people, and product is a thing. So these are some of the entities that need to be available in your database, but that is not all. There are other things that happen when selling a product. There might be a vendor for the customer to ask questions to the vendor. So might be an entity in our database as well. So entities could be the nouns and objects, and verbs would be the attributes. For example, the customer is buying products. So the buying is the action and could be the attribute. We will further discuss those things in next slides when we will really be creating the relationships into them. So now we talk about the relationships. We discussed earlier that we need to focus on the entities. The entities could be falling between the people, things, events, and locations. Now we focus on the relationships in the database. In relational databases, a relationship is a situation that exists between a relational database tables through foreign keys. A foreign key is a column or combination of columns that is used to establish and enforce a link between data and two tables. For example, the relationship could include the student, course, and enrollment. Now, the relational database itself is basically creating a relationship between two tables using a key. The terms foreign key, primary key, they really create a linkage between two tables. Hence, the database is called the relational database. So, as we discussed in the very beginning of this lecture, the relational database is the database which is in the form of table, and they have some relation with the tables. Now let us see how the table of student, course, and enrollment is creating a relationship. Now look at this. There is a course table, enrollment table, student table. In this diagram, you can see some sort of associations, relationships between tables. Like one course can be enrolled to many of the students, and on the right side, one student can enroll many. There are three types of relationships between the tables, and the relationship between the different tables depends on how the related columns are defined. So one to many to many, and one to one. So we are talking about the relationship between the database. So once you have more than one tables, then obviously you need to have some relationships between the tables, and the relationships between the tables are defined according to certain cardinality. Cardinality is called the association between the tables, the linkage between the tables. So let us see how they are further defined. We talk about one to many relationship. Like here, one course has many enrollments, one student has many enrollments. In one to many relationship is the most common type of relationship. In this type of relationship, a row in a table A can have many matching rows in table B, but a row in a table B can have only one matching row in a table A. So one course could be occurring many times in enrollment, for example, and but enrollment for particular one student will only be there in the course. So one to many relationship is a kind of for example, if there is a customer table and there is a purchase table. So in the customer table, the customer will have only the customer ID, and but it can have multiple purchases in the purchase table. So one to many relationship is the kind of relationship which has relationship having one to many. Further, more examples you will be looking at, you will understand more. In this type of relationship, uh, the foreign key is defined in the table that represents the many end of the relationships. So basically, when you say a primary key, then basically these are the very new terms. Before we could understand the primary key or foreign key, but we are just going into some highlights that how the primary key and foreign key are used, as well as the relationships are connected using the primary key and foreign key. So at this point, you try to understand that if, for example, you are supposed to understand the one to many relationship, then understand that one course could be enrolled many times, or one student could be enrolled many times into different courses. That is a key concept over here. So another example in the above diagram, student and enrollment tables have one to many relationship. Student and enrollment has a relationship as a one to many relationship. Each student may have many enrollments, but each enrollment belongs to only one student. So at this uh, uh, slide, you only consider this concept, and further we will be exploring the various variations of relationships. Many to many relationships. In many to many relationships, a row in a table can have many matching rows in a table B, and vice versa. You can create such a relationship by defining a third table called junction table, whose primary key consists of a foreign key from both tables A and table B. For example, the student and the course tables have many to many relationships, that is defined by one to many relationship from each of these tables to the enrollment. Basically, one student can have many courses, and many courses could have many students. Basically, if you look at the course table and the student table, if you wanted to create the relationship between course and student, having many relationships, then you cannot do this directly, but you will need to create an intermediary table which will hold the relationship for a relationship of one to many from one side and one to many from the other side. So they will form a kind of uh, junction table in order to give you the many to many relationship. So enrollment gives a junction. You cannot directly uh, create a relationship with a course, but you will need to create uh, a junction table. Definitely, you will have a need to create the relationship of multiple courses with multiple students, and obviously, multiple students will be having the multiple courses. But if you will start uh, creating the relationship between the course and students, you will fail. An enrollment is a kind of, let's say, an administrative location, a junction table, which will really hold the relationship between a course and the student. If that doesn't exist, then that particular junction, uh, if that particular junction is not existing, then you will not be able to create a relationship. A one-to-one relationship, a row in a table can have no more than one matching row in table B. So basically, one-to-one relationship is that you should have one relation with another table. But a one-to-one relationship is created if both of the related columns are primary keys or have unique constants. In one-to-one relationship, the primary key acts additionally as a foreign key, and there is no space, no separate foreign key column for either table. This type of relationship is not common because most information related in this way would be all in one table. So basically, one-to-one is a kind of relationship, like one course has a particular relationship with particular student, but there that's not useful. If you are only let's say storing the information of one student and particular course allotment, then it's not helpful unless that information is being held somewhere else. So the point is, one-to-one relationship could be possible, but it is not useful always. Otherwise, it is possible, but that will remain in the one table. But sometimes you need this one-to-one relationship for some purposes. Divide a table with many columns. If you wanted to divide a particular uh, table in columns, let's say the ID and the name of the student has a one-to-one relationship. Name of the student or ID has a date of birth. That is basically the one-to-one relationship, but within the table. The outside the table, keeping, for example, the ID in one table, the last name in third another table, the date of birth of the students into another table, they could be created as a one-to-one relationship, but it is not good idea to create the one-to-one relationships among different tables. Hence, it becomes one-to-one, but that's not in practice. That's only able to do when you create a security isolate part of table for security reasons. For example, the student information is kept in one table, and again, for example, the student payment, the payment details, or for example, their special needs or any critical data which you don't want to show to anybody else, then you can store separately. That will be the one-to-one, but will not be useful. That will increase the number of tables. Now we come to the attribute. Data elements that you want to save for each entity are called the attributes. About the product that you sell, you want to know, for example, what the price is, what the name of the manufacturer is, what type of number is, about the customers. You know their customer number, their name, address, about the shops, you know the location code, the name, address of the sales, you know when they happened, in which shop, what products were sold, and some of the total sales of the vendors, you know is staff number. So the attributes are the information about the particular entity. Like customer is an entity, and the attributes are the, for example, phone number, customer number, name. Vendor has an attribute, staff number, name. Products has an attribute of price, type, manufacturer, blah blah blah. A primary key. A primary key is a key, a field in a table which uniquely identifies each row or record in a database table. Primary key must contain unique values. A primary key column cannot have a null value. So when you say that customer ID, then customer ID will be unique, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They cannot be null and cannot be duplicated, while the names could be duplicated and perhaps the surnames could be missing. Foreign key. A foreign key is a key used to link two tables together. This is sometimes called the referencing key. Foreign key is a column or combination of the columns whose values match a primary key in a different table. The relationship between two tables matches the primary key in one of the tables with a foreign key in the second table. If a table has a primary key defined on any fields, then you cannot have two records having the same value of the field. So for example, in a customer table, the customer ID is a primary key, and when you create an order table, then order table would be referring to the primary key of customer, which is the customer ID, and as this definition explained, that those primary key items cannot be duplicated, and this customer ID, when it is in the customer table, it is the primary key, and when it is in the other table, it is called the foreign key. So that is the mechanism to create the relationship between the database. Now data types. There are a lot of different types of the data. Few are standardized, but many databases have their own data type that all have their own advantages. Some databases offer the possibility to define your own data types in case standard types cannot do the things. So standard data types, data type like a type of the data. When you say number, it's a number. When you say date, it's a date type. When you say alphanumeric, it is alphanumeric. So character, var character, text, float, double, integer. Now text has particular length, particular type. Varchar has a particular length. Text has a particular length. Numbers, they start with particular, starting and ending points. Float, double, they have particular ranges. So the another type, blob, binary data. they have particular, the linkages, and so these are the advanced, the type. So for your information, it is not necessary that you remember their sizes by memory, but whenever you wanted to create a database and you wanted to allocate the particular size of the particular database columns, then you need to reserve a space in the database for storing particular data. Now, the question arises that if you had the different tables like course, enrollment, students, then probably you could mess up with particular data with regards to the usage or the selection of number of fields. I want to make sure that you have, can you listen, Khalid and Abid?
Yes, I can hear, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So just wanted to give, want to make sure that you are listening. So I'm continuing the normalization. Relational database design, we not only want to create a structure that stores all of the data, but we also want to do it in a way that minimizes potential errors when we work with the data. The default language for accessing data from the relational database is SQL, structured query language, and can be used to manipulate data in the following ways. Using the SQL, structured query languages, you insert the data, delete unwanted data, update existing data. Similarly, in an unnormalized design, there are three problems. Normalization is basically the optimizing the structure of the database. When you don't optimize the structure of tables, then you face some problems. One problem is the insert anomaly. This refers to the situation when it is impossible to insert certain type of data into the database. Delete anomaly, the deletion of the data leads to unintended loss of additional data that we had to wish to preserve. Update anomaly, this refers to the situation when updating the value of a column leads to database inconsistencies. So basically these are the problems. Inserting, for example, if you wanted to insert, suddenly more than one things into one column, then database will not be suitable. If you wanted to delete one particular entity and suddenly, if the linkage between the tables and the data was not proper, then you deleted your, accidentally the wanted data. If you wanted to update the data, for example, for a transaction, then you accidentally updated the other columns, and that's not good. So these are the problems if the database is not normalized. Now we focus on to address these three problems. In the previous slide, we go through the process of normalization. When we go through the normalization process, we increase the number of tables in the database. Increasing the number of tables in the database is like when we were discussing the relationships of many to many, then probably you are unable to create the relationship between the course and students when the students had too many courses being enrolled, and many courses were enrolled by the many students. So in order to create that linkage of the many to many, you needed to uh, create an enrollment table additionally, so that a particular entry point could store the information that which course is uh, enrolled by which student and which student is enrolling particular which course, in either way and vice versa. So when you talk about the normalization, so probably you will need to create the another tables, and while decreasing the amount of data stored in the each table. So some of the tables will be decreasing their information, and additional tables will be holding the new information in order to create the linkage, proper linkage between the tables, as well as they will be normalized. So if those tables will be normalized, then these problems like insert anomaly, the delete anomaly, and update anomaly will be solved. Now we first talk about the first normal form definition. A database is in the first normal form if it satisfies the following condition: contains atomic values. So for example, this particular table is a product table. Product ID is 1 2 3 4 5 6, and color is somehow a product. One table is one product ID 1 can have a color of red and green, but look at this, that these red and green within a field are not atomic. So that is basically the problem. There is no repeating groups allowed if it is in the first normal form. So an atomic value is a value that cannot be further divided. For example, in a table shown below, the value color blah blah blah. So this is basically situation. If the problem is there, then you need to keep all the values as an atomic and no repeating of the groups in a particular column. So this table needs to be in normal form, first normal form. Now look at this. If you are making a table in the first normal form, then in order to create a unique values as well as remove the repeating groups, you splitted the table like product IDs 1 2 3 4 5 6, and you created another table like product ID 1 can have a red, product ID 1 can have a green, product ID 2 can have a yellow, product ID 3 can have a green, product ID 4 can have a yellow, product ID 4 can have a blue. So in this way, this condition satisfies the first normal form. Now we come to the second normal form. Second normal form is a condition when it is definitely in the first normal form, as well as all non-key attributes are fully functional, dependent on a primary key. So for example, if you look at this, a purchase location is dependent on store ID. For example, there is a purchase detail that customer ID 1 purchased from the particular store 1, which is located in the Los Angeles. If you have a table in front of you, B Los Angeles is dependent on store ID, and store ID is dependent on the customer. So that is basically violating the second normal form. The condition says that it should be in the first normal form, as well as all non-key attributes are fully functional, dependent on a primary key. So over here, the Los Angeles is making a confusion because customer ID and store ID, they are primary keys, but you cannot say that Los Angeles either is related with this store ID or customer ID. Let's see how this is solved. So in order to make it in a second normal form, you are basically creating a customer ID which is related with the store ID only. Like customer ID did a purchasing from store ID 1, 1 purchase from store ID 3, 2 did a purchase from store ID 1, and store ID has a relationship with a particular location. So non-key attribute means an attribute that doesn't have any particular uniqueness, like Los Angeles could be repeated many times, so are to be normalized into second normal form having splitting the table of the store ID, that's called the dependency is removed here, and the non-key attribute is depending on one primary ID, not on the two IDs over here. This was a problem. So this has solved the problem of the second normalization. In third normal form is the condition when it should be definitely in the second normal form and there are no transitive functional dependencies. By transitive functional dependencies means we have the following relationship in the table. A is functionally dependent on B and phi is functionally dependent on C. In this case, C is transitively dependent on A via B. So when you say that price of a type gardening and Ginear ID 1, this is a book detail. A book ID 1 has a Ginear 1, a Ginear type and price. When you say that a price is dependent on Ginear type and Ginear type is dependent on the Ginear ID. So over here it looks like that C is also depending on the price. So this should not be the case. What you need to do is that over here, like Ginear ID was closely related with the Ginear type. So there was a repeating, like here, one is for gardening and again here one for gardening, that thing is repeating. So how this is solved? The gardening has a Ginear ID, sports has a Ginear ID, travel has a Ginear ID. So you can easily say that book ID 1 has a Ginear ID 1 and Ginear type has been already sorted and reduced to one table, and there is no any duplication or repetition of the data that you can see over here in the book table. In the non-normalized form, gardening is repeating sports and sports is repeating. So for the third normal form, you should make sure that it should be in the second normal form and there shouldn't be any transitive dependency, and hence you can remove this transitive dependency by splitting the transitive columns to be kept separate. So this is about the normal form. And next is the connecting databases. Basically the databases are connected by which a database server and its client software communicate with each other. So it is not necessary that you are directly accessing the database, but you are basically connecting the database using some software. If you are using a website, then website is getting connected with the server of the data server. For example, the database of the bank. Yeah. So this is called the connecting a database with the applications. Relational database we already discussed earlier. It is stored in the forms, in the form of tables, and there is a management of the relational database using the tables, their relationships, and these things we already discussed here, and you can go through again. ODBC. Basically, ODBC is a mechanism which helps you to connect a database from the application point of view to the database itself. Like as I explained earlier in the slide, a database needs to be connected with different kinds of applications. Probably you could access your database using a web form. Probably you could access your database using a computerized form. You are not dealing directly with the particular type of the user end, but you can make it available to any of the front end. So ODBC is an open database connectivity that is used as a programming language to create a middleware of the application. Like application could be any browser or anything, then device driver manager using the ODBC, you are getting the data source indeed. JDBC is kind of ODBC that is used to access the database to the particular application, and the application could be any Java applet, HTML browser, or any of the client. So overall, the database is the storage of the database, and database management system is a computer software application that interacts with the user, other applications, and the database itself to capture and analyze the data. A general purpose database management system is designed to allow the definition, creation, querying, update, and administration of the data. So keep in mind that a database is a collection, and database management system is a computer software that is used to create, query, update, moderate, manage the databases. Some well-known databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, and many database softwares exist which are used to manage and to handle the data as a database management system. So it was about the first session about the database management systems, some core concepts about the starting from the data, their connections, their forms of normalization, the concept of the data types, the numbers, the keys and relationships between the data, attributes of the data, relationships one-to-one, one-to-many, and concepts of the entities, concepts of the reports, concepts of the forms, element, and started with the basic definition of the data. So is that clear? Any question?
Yes, clear.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. So is there any question?
No.
Okay. Khalid? Hello? So I take a break of 5 minutes here, and then I start the another session after 5 minutes. Yeah?
Okay.